The farmers have been busy in the fields, and as head gardener of our property, well, I'm technically the only gardener, I've been busy pulling weeds, sowing seeds, and chasing the pests away. So the wood for my garden beds has been delivered, and it's still sitting here after 2 weeks. The man of the house has been sick, so needless to say, this is kind of low priority right now. We're currently juggling several other projects, so this might have to wait a week or two. The garden gates were looking a bit tired, and I was sick of looking at them, so I thought a new coat of paint would start the season off properly. The walled garden is a half an acre and once provided enough food for owners and staff of the Chateau. Today we grow an array of organic fruits and vegetables, some of which my kids go, "Oh no, this again?" We currently have 8 vegetable beds and are working on another 4 for cut flowers. So it's about 7 p.m., the perfect time for a garden tour. When we moved in, this was just grass. The only thing that was here were the fruit trees, and I've managed not to kill them. This is my attempt at espalier. Don't laugh, because I was concerned that the trees would just take up too much space overhanging on this part of the garden, which wasn't here either. This was all dirt. It still is not finished. So here we just have a few herbs. I have some lavender. I always make sure to have some something for the bees. We have some savory, which survived over the winter, and it looks better than it did last year. It's really nice. And we have a lot of different thymes: lemon thyme, orange thyme, some sage, mint, oregano, just the usual stuff. And then I will plant some other herbs like dill and cilantro, which I already have in the garden bed. You name it, we'll have it. Up here, I need to edge all of this. Pretty uneven, but I'll get to that. I did put some rocks down, but I think it looks messy and ugly, so I'll remove those and edge the garden. I don't know how people keep their gardens so neat and tidy. Here we have Casablanca Lilies. Those are my very favorite. They produce a giant white fragrant flower, and we have a few more over here. Tulips are still going. Peonies. I'm excited for the peonies. Those are pretty. I don't know what color. I think those are like a light pink. Another peony, which I don't think will bloom this year. That's a little young. That's a rose. Now, I admit I know nothing about taking care of roses. I love them, but I need to do some research. So if anybody has any good tips or can look at my plant and tell me what's happening, is this normal, that color foliage? I don't know. I admit I'm a bit lazy with my rose tending. And we have several fruit trees. We have peach, plum, and pear that line the wall. This is my poor little peach tree that sadly has, I think, passed away. It was an amazing little tree. Rest in peace. We have a total of 8 vegetable beds, and then we'll have 4 beds strictly for flowers. A lot of red cabbage. Now, if you're wondering how we water this garden, we're fortunate to have a 200-foot deep well that provides water for the gardens. So just imagine taking an elevator 20 floors down. That's how deep it is. Since the garden is expanding, we'll need to get some sort of irrigation system since watering by hand is becoming too time-consuming. So this corner of the garden has sort of been neglected. That is a plum tree that is in desperate need of a pruning, so hopefully we can get to that when the season is over. That's a Japanese red plum, but last year we got a lot of fruit and they were so good. So this little corner, you can see up above we had some damage to the wall in a big storm, which really bums me out, but hopefully we can get that fixed. I mean, we have so much to do. We have all this that needs to come down. I really need an extra set of hands. I mean, several sets of hands. And I have some pots set up which will house my zucchini, courgette, and maybe a butternut squash. They just take up too much room in the garden bed, so I'm doing it this way. And this is where I'll be putting my tomatoes. These are old tree cages from the orchard that I've just painted black, and I'll put tomatoes back here. Hopefully I'll have some luck. They grew really well here last year. I think they enjoy the warmth from the wall. And I do have a lot of mint, and I know people say, oh, don't plant mint in your garden, it'll overtake it, but I use a lot of it. I use it in cooking. The donkeys enjoy it. I also use them in flower arrangements, which is a fun addition. And you just have to keep on it. If you find it's creeping into your lawn, just pull it up. But if you can't keep an eye on it, then yeah, put them in pots. This bed will be corn and chocolate sunflowers. And we're very excited to have corn, since it's something that we don't get fresh in the stores around here. We have plenty of it growing right outside of our front entrance, but the farmers use it for feed. This bed, I have red onions, which I planted in the fall. I have some leeks. I couldn't live in France without planting leeks. I did plant my potatoes about 2 weeks ago. They are coming up. Potato, look, you can see I really know my potato varieties. I don't know what this is. I think it's like a nice yellow potato. And around this planter, well, that's got lavender in it. And I planted Italian parsley all the way around that planter. More potatoes, look, more potatoes, potato. I did label the one in the back. That is purple potato. They've just started to come up, so that's exciting. And I have some cabbage over here with a big oregano, and I will plant some cilantro around the cabbage because apparently it repels the whitefly. I did it last year and the cabbages were amazing. So chives that are just going to bloom. These are scallions, green onions. We use a ton of these in cooking. And I planted some lettuce. What I normally do is I'll buy lettuce from the garden center to get a head start, and then I plant some from seed, which I've already done. And in this bed, this is free space. I think we'll put some cucumbers there and maybe some beans when things warm up. And I have rainbow beets, which are fun, and golden beets, which I love. And next door to the strawberries, we have some kale, all different types of kale. I eat a lot of kale. I love it. So this probably isn't enough. These were planted in the fall. Some of them are starting to go to seed, so I need to eat them up, and I've planted more. But this is such a nice kale. I love the purple kale. It's very sweet. And some green cabbage. I don't know the variety. And this is kale and some weeds. What's kale and what's a weed? Oh, I see some kale and I see plenty of weeds. And this is cilantro. And I have to make sure I label every little bed because I think I'm going to remember what I planted, and then I come out the next day, I'm like, what is this? I don't remember. What did I do? I do love to be outside in the garden. I'm not a big fan of the sun. I appreciate what the sun does, but not to my skin. This is my gardening attire, and it's tough work living like a vampire. I think I'll plant these today. They're pretty carrot. Beer for the slugs, cayenne for the moles, and the champagne is for me. No, I'm not saving jars of urine in the garden. This is mold deterrent, according to my online sleuthing. It seems to work. It's cayenne pepper mixed with water, and I'll show you how I do it. I usually use about a half of this size jar. Look, my little seedlings. Oh, that makes me so mad. My poppies, killing my pop. There's nothing worse than coming out and seeing a big molehill beneath your sprouting seedlings. It's the worst. Luckily, I haven't planted anything in this row yet, so I don't know. I could just be playing whack-a-mole. Makes me so mad. I think I might have to resort to murder. I don't want that to happen, but they bring up all the rocks too. Ugh. So I'll come back and check on this in the morning and see if they've scurried off. It's usually what happens, but we'll see. So I've really had it with these moles. They are all over the place. They're destroying all of my vegetables. I have a lot of others to do, a lot of other holes to take care of. So I think I need a bigger jar. Brittany is known for its cider and is home to more than 600 varieties of apples. We have about 25 apple trees along with a few quince and Mirabelle plum trees. Well, I have a fantasy that someday we would clear a couple of these trees and put an in-ground heated pool back here. Wouldn't that be great? I just need to find all that money. Look at this chestnut tree. This is massive and it needs to be trimmed. This looks pretty old. This leads to the back of our garden. We have a big forest back here. And it's a mess. So if anybody wants to come and bring a chainsaw and cut some trees down, please join us. But when we arrived here, none of this had been mowed before, and there were brambles everywhere. So this is a huge improvement from when we arrived. There's still so much to do. Oh, this is, oh, this makes me sad. This is the unknown kitty grave. I had a kitty that came into one of our barns one night and it was injured, and I fed it and gave it water and a bed and was going to take it to the vet the next day, but sadly he or she died. Made me very sad, but we have a couple of cats that live on the property, feral cats, who I do feed. We have Mimi the Chateau cat. She lives in the barn. And she's my best friend. I wonder where she is.